If you're into fly fishing, at some point you're going to sit there and say, these flies are expensive. I go to the fly shop and I spend $3 to $7 on flies and I'm losing a bunch of them. Maybe I ought to tie my own flies and I'll save money. Can you really save money tying flies? I've been tying flies for a long time and I truthfully am not totally sure what the answer is. So here's a challenge. Take $100 and with that $100 you have to have the tools, head cement, and the materials to tie some flies. And I'm going to do 2 patterns and see what I can produce. So you got to get a vise and all the tying tools, the thread, your head cement, everything you need to make those flies, and then make a bunch of flies, and at the end of it tally it up and see if you made over $100 worth of flies. So this is the challenge. You can play along at home. Let's find out if you really do save money tying flies. The 2 flies that I'm going to go with are pretty simple. They're maybe just a hair higher than beginner level, but there's something that any beginner can do. So I've come up with 2. One is basically, it's called a shimmer bugger. It's kind of a tricked out woolly bugger, and it's the only real difference is it's got estaz in the body and it also has a collar. And the second one is a nymph, the Guide's Choice Hare's Ear, maybe a little bit of a blingy hare's ear nymph with a gold bead. I dug through the catalog instead of sitting there going online digital, and I came up with what it was going to cost. I figured I had about $60 because I thought the material or the tools were going to be $30 to $40. I went back and I looked again, and the minimum you can get the tools for, kind of a basic vise that's a knockoff of the old classic Thompson AA's. Just a cheap set of tools, you can do it for $30. So that gave me a little bit more leeway in buying the materials. The 2 flies are going to use one common piece of material, and that's going to be the flash. So I only purchased 1 package of flash. The total for the materials, including glue and everything that you're going to need to do the flies, the hooks, the beads, everything else, came up under the $70. Well, it took some doing, but I got the order to come in at exactly $69.26. So we made it under $70. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that, and it should be in about a week. This is the tool set and vise that I'm going to go with. So obviously it's an inexpensive kit. What I like about it, I bought it a number of years ago, and it was a lot cheaper then than they are now. They're running between $30 and $40. I think I got it in the 20s. And I've used this for my on-the-road fly tying kit. It's really basic. It's got a built-in pedestal and just a really simple vise that actually doesn't do too bad. It comes with a set of tools. If you're going to go on Amazon, there's other options. There's vices that you can get for down as low as about $15 to get yourself started. So you can get that, and there are tying tool sets with all the stuff in them that you need. Got the stuff for the $100 challenge. So always exciting going out to the mail when you actually get something good. This should be everything that we need for the 2 fly patterns. Let's go open it up. Okay, let's see what we got. It's fun to open packages. This year we made the mistake of putting the dog's Christmas presents in a gift bag. So now every time the dogs see a bag come into the house, they think they're getting a present. But I can't blame them. Everybody likes opening packages. Now let's see what we got. Got everything. So what I'm going to do is I take 2 Ziploc bags and I'm going to put the stuff for each fly in a Ziploc bag. Hare's ear, bugger, and that's it. Okay, now we got 2 bags. We got all our stuff. Let's tie the flies. All right, I'm gonna start doing the buggers first, the shimmer buggers. One of the things that I think about fly tying is it keeps you connected to fly fishing, because right now we're in the dregs of winter. I just got in, I was out on my skis trying to keep in shape, and not a lot of fly fishing around here right now. We've had our highs were in the 20s for like the last week, so not really great. Right away I can see that the bobbin is kind of a pain. Never seen it packaged quite like this. Packaging guy must have been new. What I'm finding is that I haven't used these tools in a long time and I'm not used to them. Well, I've gotten more used to the tools, so things are going faster. So I'm gonna get one last one in. I gotta go run an errand. Clean up the giant mess on the floor. Well, I decided I really needed my waste bin, and this happened. Not great, but the good thing is the vacuum cleaner's right there. And onto the crazy whip finisher. Actually getting it to... It's even musical. Glue on that. That's going to be it for tonight because I got to go do something. Back cranking out some more of these. And it's lousy out. It's cold and gray and ugly. So it's good fly tying weather. Try to crank out a couple more and keep going till I, looks like, run out of beads. So overall, you can certainly use this kit. And gotta make sure I don't knock that over again today. One nice thing is it's not even making a dent into the Flashaboo. There's going to be tons of that left for other flies. There's saddle hackle in, and the tricky whip finisher. Keep cranking out some more. We got the last 2 of these that we have beads for. The vise has been fine as far as how it holds the hook and getting stuff tied and everything. The vise is great. Having trouble with the bobbin and certainly with the whip finisher. It's also interesting with some of the feathers, because some of the marabou feathers are a little bit better than others, and some of them you can get I'm getting 3 flies out of a marabou feather, and some of them I'm only getting 2. But generally, been doing okay with everything. So this is the aftermath of doing the first fly. We've got 20 of them, and the limiting factor was the bead. Ran out of beads. Cranking out the last fly for the $100 challenge. And there's our last hook. Here's our last bead, and we'll get it going and talk a little bit about how things went. I eventually got more used to the tools and the whip finisher and everything, and so I don't think the cheaper tools are a really huge handicap for a beginner. I think they're just fine to get going with fly tying with, so I'm still down with, just a basic set of tools and a vise for about 40 bucks to get started and see if you like it. I mean, it's always stuff you can still use. Later on we'll talk about, I'll give the exact breakdown of how much I spent and how many flies I got done, and we'll do the final tally to figure out if it's actually worth tying your own flies and if you can save any money. I'll get working on this fly and get this one done and show you what I came up with. And that's it, the last fly for the $100 challenge. The $100 challenge was an interesting project, and I wanted to go over what we learned You always should try to learn something. So what I learned, and I'm kind of surprised, is that you actually can save money tying flies. I would have thought it would have been a little closer to breaking even. With 20 each, so I figured it was about $120 to $130 worth of flies that were produced using $100 worth of materials and tools. So you can save money. The other thing that I learned on this is that the limiting factor seems to be the beads and the hooks. If I had more beads and hooks, I've got, here's the 2 bags, here's the materials for the guide's hare's ear, here's materials for the shimmer bugger. I can tie a bunch more flies on those materials, but you end up with about 20 beads or so for the price, and you end up with either 25 or 50 hooks. And I can buy more beads and hooks and get a lot of flies out of those materials, which would even bring the price per fly down even more. So that was kind of interesting, seeing what the limiting factor was, the beads and the hooks. The other thing that I learned is that, when I go out to a fly shop, I walk in, it's like, oh wow, I like that material, or oh, I like this. I don't really have a plan. I just see cool things and buy them. And I've always been like that. I've been doing it for years. I've got enough materials to tie any flies that I want for the most part. That's not really a good way to spend your money. For this project, I was a little more strategic in how I bought the materials, and I'm going to have another video on that, on how to come back and how to save money while you're buying materials to get your flies tied. If you were looking to do something really simple, like, these 2 flies would work for trout, they would work for panfish, they would work for just about everything. So here you are, you got the materials and everything, you go back and you come up with, enough flies that you're ready to go do this type of fishing. If you got a buddy or something, maybe you can trade some flies. If you got more woolly buggers than you need, you get some of his flies. That's going to save both of you money and help you fill your fly boxes and help you get out there. Fly fishing shouldn't be so expensive that nobody can do it. When I was younger, that's kind of the way it was. The entry-level equipment and flies and everything were just junk. The good stuff was a lot more money. So a friend of mine that's in the Capital District Federation of Fly Fishers, he is a Army sergeant from Vietnam, and he helps out, and we always tie flies every year and give them to him, and they go to Project Healing Waters to help get the vets out on the water. I have another friend that's very involved in that, so that was pretty cool. All the flies were donated. I'll be back with some more videos on fly tying on a budget, and we'll see what other things we can learn. Welcome to all the new subscribers. As always, if you have any comments, just send them. I get back to every one of the comments. And if you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe to the channel.